Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I wanted to talk to you today about your dessert stomach. Now, I'm not sure if growing up you ever heard of this concept, but when I was growing up, my mother called her ability to eat dessert, even after a big meal, the fact that she had a dessert stomach. And this was a special stomach that was completely relegated for dessert only, and that's why she could always eat dessert even though she had eaten a big meal. Anatomically, this is, of course, is not true. However, if you crave sweets, then you probably understand and have experienced this feeling of, you eat a good meal, you should be satisfied, but you're not. You really need some dessert. So that's what I wanted to address today, because as I said, even though the dessert stomach doesn't exist, the problem does, and it's a big problem, and it means some important things. So number one, there's three. Number one, what we want to look for is if there are any food sensitivities, meaning your food is of course supposed to turn into fuel. It should be very nourishing for your cells, and if cells are well nourished, they won't crave sugar. They won't need a stimulant like caffeine. They won't want a sweet. They'll be happy with what you ate. So one problem that can get in the road of this is that you have a food sensitivity, such as gluten intolerance, if you want to call it that as well. You have another sensitivity such as dairy products or soy or corn. There are several, but if you have this, and it's something that's an integral part of your diet, as certainly gluten and dairy is for many Americans, then you're actually, with what you're eating, ingesting more of a toxin for your system, so your cells are not feeling good, they're actually feeling toxified, so they need and crave a quick fix, and that's where your sugar cravings come from. So that's the number one that we have to look at. Number two is a bit of a result of number one, which is malabsorption of nutrition, meaning you're just not absorbing from your diet adequate nutrition. So once again, those cells are hungry and they want that quick fix, and that's where that sugar craving comes from. So when you malabsorb nutrition, it can be, as I said, from number one, where you're just not, what you're eating is not good for you because you have a food sensitivity. You could just be eating a poor diet, like the standard American diet, which is loaded with pesticides and preservatives and overly processed food and genetically modified, and on and on and on. Our American diet is not very pretty and not very nourishing, so you could just be ingesting that and fast food and all that brings, and therefore your body's not nourished with what you're eating, and because of that, it's craving that quick fix. Number three is a hormonal imbalance, and this goes to your adrenal glands, which is your stress gland. And the adrenal glands do a number of different jobs for you. They're very, very busy and very, very important, but they're very affected by unstable blood sugar, meaning the food you're eating is not turning into good fuel because of number one or number two, meaning you have a food sensitivity or you're just absorbing poorly. So the problem when the adrenal glands get stressed is that they basically think of your adrenal glands like the little engine that could, keeps you going no matter what. And they have that job to do to just get you through the day. And so when they are under stress because of unstable blood sugar, as an example, what they'll do is they'll actually defer. They do many jobs, as I mentioned. They'll stop making a certain hormone and instead make adrenaline to get you through the day. So it's kind of brilliant the way the adrenal glands can kind of decide what they need most, but the problem is it leaves you a bit short in a particular hormonal level. One that's very important for the sugar cravings is progesterone. Now, both men and women make progesterone, women much more abundantly than men, but men still do make it. And progesterone is what's called a glucose tolerance factor, meaning it tends to keep your blood sugar nice and stable, and so when you don't have enough, you have erratic blood sugar, and then you crave the sugar again. And women who have PMS can probably relate to this, because right around the period time, hormones drop normally, but if they're low already, they'll drop even more, and then some women just, all of a sudden, it's chocolate, 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 or sugar, sugar, sugar. They really can barely get enough of it at that time. So when I'm looking at handling a sugar, I was about to say a sugar stomach, dessert stomach, kind of the same. But when we're looking at addressing why food is not being adequately nourishing and you're craving those sweets, I mostly address these three areas that I just discussed. And what's amazing, and I personally used to have a major dessert stomach inherited from my mother. Really, it was the gluten intolerance that was inherited from her. But I personally can relate to this, because if you had ever told me that sugar craving and dessert stomach would be a thing of the past, meaning that I could kind of take or leave dessert, I would have told you were crazy, that I could be disciplined, I could walk away because I knew it was the right thing to do, but it wouldn't be easy because that craving would always be there. And it's not. It's absolutely gone, and of course not just me, with many of our patients as well. So the point here is that not just from the viewpoint that it's annoying to have this sugar craving, because you're being kind of driven by a part of your body that's kind of saying, no, I've got to have the sugar, and you just kind of have to succumb to it. But it means that we have these imbalances that we've mentioned, and you can really get rid of it. So if you're like that, if you have a lot of sugar cravings and you think this is just the way I am, this is the way I'm built, my mother had it as my example and it must be genetic, it's not at all. It's one of these three things most often, and it's something you can really do something about pretty easily. So I hope you found that informative, and please let me know any questions you have on this topic or any other topics that we've talked about, and let me know other topics you want to hear about. And if you want a free health analysis, I want to offer you that too. I'm really committed to having our country get healthier. We're not on a good path right now, so I really want to turn that around. So please let me know what I can do for you. And until next time, I wish you very good health.